trying to do my banner scrolling ticker, they call it, right? So anyway, we're getting there. People keep falling off this restream. I don't know. I don't know why. Hopefully, it's not symptomatic of the platform. It's just a glitch that's going on right now. Right. So try and talk, Paulette. Try and talk without.
Okay, I will try and talk without the reverb. How's that? Is that better?
Better, much better. Krista, you try. We'll mute ourselves. Let's see whether you can talk without the.
Well, I just put my headset in too, so because I'm on my phone. So I don't know, but I don't hear it.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So my
I hope
friend,
so.
Right.
This headset was expensive. Matt doesn't go cheap.
Headsets are weird. You don't know that when they don't work until they stop working. That's what everyone's saying to you. We can't hear you. You can't hear us.
Message saying reverb gone.
Yes, it's gone. It has gone. Okay, so what am I doing? Right, doing that / global. Okay. Anyway, right. So this conversation is about fear of public speaking. Do you know what the condition is? Do you pull it?
Of course, but I'm not telling you.
Go on, tell us. Go on. There's a diagnosis for it. That I find very strange. Glossophobia. It's a thing.
It's a phobia because
Yes.
everything that puts fear in you is a phobia.
Yes. No, and I say, and they do say many people would rather die than have to face speaking on a stage in front of people. Never on a stage, just in front of people, full stop. See, were you one of those, Paulette?
Never. I was gobby at the age of 2, but I mean, I think I've been with people who are really senior C-suite execs and put them on the spot and said, in a room of, say, 12 people, introduce yourself and tell me what position you are within the business. And they will struggle because you put them on the spot when they haven't prepared. I think there is 2 things here, Annie. There's preparation and there's being put on the spot. They're two different fears.
Yeah.
So no, I've never had it. Never.
Agreed. You had a really good note there, Paulette, because I was thinking about I was raised in beauty pageants. So public speaking, singing on stage, being on stage was never a fear of mine. But yet, you both saw me in the beginning when I first started doing my lives, when I first started doing my audio rooms. Didn't matter how much I prepared, just being on that stage alone, there was that fear of not getting my point across, not being able to, not necessarily control, but, keep the conversation going properly and things like that. Having the content be viable and what people want to listen to and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's so many different. I think there's many different parts of having the spotlight on us that we dread. Like you say, Crystal. Forgetting our words, not being engaging. People not liking what we're saying. People not being in agreement. All of that.
It goes back to childhood, though, Annie. I really do believe it goes back to an experience where you were made fun of, or people perhaps. I remember, I've said it before, reading out loud in class, and I read the word advertisement instead of advertisement, and the whole class laughed at me. And I went, and the teacher went, carry on reading. It's like, and, like no one's ever made a mistake, right? But that would have mortified another person. But I'd come out fighting. So I was a scrapper before they invented scrapping. So, and that's both verbally and physically. So, the point is that if you haven't got that inner fear,
Mm.
it doesn't it doesn't paralyze you. But
Mm.
somebody else, it stops you in your tracks
Yeah.
physically. And then every single time someone says, "Can you read this out loud?" or "Can you take over the meeting and just run through the minutes?" That
Mm.
person will go, remember that, your subconscious will be telling you, don't forget what happened in second grade when you went to read that
Yeah.
piece out. And
Yep.
that can win. Even as an
Yeah.
adult, that
I agree.
can mortify you still.
Yeah, and I agree. I had this fear of public speaking for years. Probably up. No, I probably only let go of it
You?
when I started doing it.
Never.
Seriously, now you'd be amazed. Now, say I was petrified, and like, say part of my reason I'm talking about it today is not just our conference tomorrow, where I think I'm on a mission to build people's confidence to speak publicly. It is also the reality that as entrepreneurs, we need to speak. Our biggest impact is in speaking. And for years, I just didn't have it. I was terrified. I was, but even now, I'm learning to realize, I still get the when I have to speak. But I've learned to just deal with it. Just push it aside and say, you know what, whatever. But so I remember in my high school days, God Almighty.
See, and I was more bold in my high school days. Now, elementary school, my mom burnt my hair with a perm. So, you know how my last name is spelled Behe?
Yeah, yeah.
They like to tease me. Crystal wanted to be a he because I had to have a pixie haircut long before the pixie haircut was fashionable. you know? So I hated going to school, period. But,
Who was
and
that? Someone just said something. I don't know. Okay. Who's in that? Okay,
Somebody said
that's
you
Coach
don't love them
Sean.
anymore.
That's Coach Sean, right?
Oh, is that?
Sean, I've sent you the link into your DMs. I don't know why you're saying that. Anyway, of
is
course
it
I love you.
cold over there, Paulette?
Come,
It's not bad.
come
It's been
and
mild today, actually,
yeah,
here. It's been mild.
very,
So,
very
but
much.
I've got a woolly pulley on because it's late. It's not 10
Uh,
o'clock. I'm cold at 10
yeah,
o'clock at night. Yeah.
it's 4 o'clock
But
here, so.
It's hot here, where I
there's
am.
a funny story that I can share with you, Annie, that will shock you. Or
Go
may
for it.
shock you. I don't know. It might shock the audience, but I was told be 22, and I was told that I had to go on stage and um, convince 250 sales engineers to try and sell these products, go out there and increase the sales. And they're looking at me going, she's like a kid. What does she know, right? They're all experienced engineers. They're like in their maybe 30s, maybe early 40s. So a good probably 15 years plus older than me. So I take the stage and I have no clue what I'm going to say because I look out and it's not my normal crowd of like 25, 26, 27-year olds that I relate to, can have a joke and a laugh with a bit of banter with my training. These are mature people that have done it, seen it, worn the t-shirt. And I'm like, they're not going to think that I respect them if I play the games that I normally do with the younger lads. And then I thought, but it works with the younger lads, so why not give it a go? So I said quite cheekily, and I don't know that I would do it now because I'm now an old lady, but at 20 something, I had a little bit more oomph about me. So I stood there and I said, I want you to imagine that I'm the hottest woman you've ever seen. And this is before we really sort of got into the whether you were into men or women. So it was just a case of I just said the hottest woman. But I said I might not be the right skin tone, I might not be the right hair color, I might not be the right body shape, but believe me, I am the hottest woman. All of you lot want a date with me. Every one of you. What is your differentiation? What difference do you have from the person sitting next to you? And they were all sitting there and like laughing because it's now humorous and I'm being a funny lady, and I had quite a heavy training session up till now, and now there's a young girl. It's quite amusing. And one of the guys said, I'd ask if you wanted to go for a coffee. So I said, oh, okay, I like coffee, but a bit flat, you know. Anybody else? And so I think I'd ask if you'd like to go to the movies. I said, oh, okay, that's better. How about dinner? Someone said. And so it carried on. And then, how about a holiday to the Maldives? I'm like, we haven't even met yet. Come on. Like, everyone was laughing at each other. There was real banter within each other. It was great. The atmosphere was back to my 20 somethings. It was no different. I was just looking straight out to the same crowd. And yet, before I'd started, I looked out to a very different crowd, a scared audience. Well, I was scared, they were scared. They were scared of me, and I was scared of them. And then I said to them, okay, so we've all decided that you've all got a different perspective on how to win me, correct? And they were like, oh, yeah, definitely. And then I said, right, now imagine that I was that $25,000 order that you all wanted. How do you differentiate yourself now, right? How do you change yourself to want that $25,000 order as opposed to the person sitting next to you? Because competition's ripe and all 250 of you want that order. And they were like, oh, she got us there, didn't she? Like, you know, caught us out there, and all the banter was coming backwards and forwards. And I said, but just think about it. That's life, right? The competition of life doesn't just stop at which woman you get to date or who you get to take to the movies. It's what orders you take, what percentage you get, how high you are in the rankings. You know, your companies all believe in you. Your companies have invested in you because I'm here. And they all laughed. And I said, and I'm expensive. And they were killing themselves with laughter. And I said, you know, they've paid a lot of money for me. And one of the guys shouted out, bet you're worth it. And everyone laughed again. And it was a lovely big joke. And then I got it back again. And I said, okay, guys, this is the really important part about the session is how do you differentiate yourself from the guy sitting next to you or the person sitting next to you? How do you win that business? How do you prove yourself to be different? And they all looked at me and were looking for like clues, give us a clue. And I said, it's just you. It's all about you. How you deliver your message, what information you give, how well trained you are, how well versed you are in your products, how you're able to negotiate, how you're able to get the person on board, how you're willing to get them to engage with you from the very first phone call. That's when you very first start this communication. People were going, yeah, you're right. And it was as if they'd had an awakening, and I'd spoken common sense. I'd spoken everything that everybody should have been taught at sort of the very first day of sales training. But with the Dale Carnegie system, they went right back to square roots and were saying, you know, what makes you special is you. And we are all unique, individually unique. And we will all bring something different, and we will all say something different. And the emotions we attach to what we say will be received differently. That is the best lesson you can learn about public speaking, is to engage with your audience. Make them feel like they are so special, that you're only there for them. You've only come here for that one person to hear you. And when that one person hears you, they say, I've got it, I want it, I buy it. Where do I sign? Because you delivered the message in a way that they connected with. That's when you get good public speakers.
That I agree with for sure. Definitely, there's a lot there. Let me welcome my friends first of all, and then I'll come to Sean and probably pick on some of your points. Who's here? Nat, welcome. Sean's here already, so Zara's here. Also, welcome, Christy. I don't know how you do it, my friend. You're everywhere. You're a trooper. I think everyone needs someone like Christy who actually does support people genuinely. What Natalie say? It's hard to read stuff because I haven't got a black screen. So I shared constructive and humorous feedback. I do not scream. No. Who did you scream, Nat? My vocal cords are far too valuable for that nonsense. Honestly, you're too funny, Natalie. Telling me I have to look after my health. Who's LinkedIn user? Is that Annie? I think that's my sister Annie, right? I hope it is. So good luck for tomorrow. Yes, Paulette, good luck for tomorrow. You need it. I don't. I'm just showing up to sing and dance, right? So I'll come back to that in a second. Who else is here? So the amazing Jackie's here. I am on Jackie's show. Is it 9th or 12th? I think it's the 9th of March. See, there's a reason I mentioned that. That is something that is playing on my mind when I went to a show, but I think it relates to what we're talking about here today. Jay, how are you doing? Glad you're here, of course. Who is this? This is a bit smaller here. So Lee, how are you doing, Lee? I don't think we've met. It'd be great to meet for sure, so I get to know more about what you do, how you help. Who else am I welcoming? Do I miss anyone? Brilliant, Crystal. I agree. I saw Dr. Marcia. I saw Dr. Roxana is here. Always great to have you here, Prof. Amazing to have you here, especially after you bought a ticket to our event. So Dr. Marcia is here as well. How are you? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's nighttime here. It's nearly midnight here. I like the afternoon thing. I wish it was afternoon still. Dr. Lisa, welcome all of you. Who else have I seen? Brother Charlie. Thank you so much for joining us, all of you. Right, no, Paulette, there's many things when it comes to public speaking, right? You see, I think, of course, you're right. I think one thing that I try to do. Where does my fear come from? I tell you where my fear comes from. My fear, it comes from the fact that in my school days, you could get through the whole of school. Lower school, junior school, middle school, high school, university, without speaking once in public. Not a single time. You never had to speak, ever. I was very good at writing, so I hid behind my writing, and that's where I was. When it came to giving presentations, I used to just freeze, right? And I'll do what everyone else does, which is, it's much like having a script. But as long as it was any time, get in front of the class, do your thing. I've practiced. I've got notes. I've got my script, and I couldn't say a word in the script. I just could not read any of it. It was nightmarish. I started sweating because I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm here, and my words just disappeared. And your voice fails you. Everything just goes right. It's like trying to follow a script for a phone call. Those sales scripts. I don't. They tell me to. I never do. Right. I think that's why I like your point. There's more to it than standing in front of a room saying words. I think it does come down to who you are and your inner self. That's why this room is about being your authentic self in business. Are you a person who's truly confident in yourself, who truly likes yourself, who truly understands your mission, rather than wanting to go out there and speak? It takes all of that. So that's my personal thought. But now I'm sure we'll come back to those points as time goes on. How are you doing, Sean? Thank you for the message, by the way. I didn't know you were there. I'll never have known you were there. So I'm glad you put that. Anyway, you're here. How are you doing?
I'll give you grace, sir, because you're on a new platform and you're used to the other one. So And they
No,
work very differently.
they
you
do,
know.
they do. You know, but when I watch you do it, you make it look very smooth.
It's taken practice because of I learned the system and using. Plus, I loved Paulette's talk, right? How she shared, how she just softened everybody up. She warmed the room beautifully.
Yeah.
And the message beneath the message, if you didn't catch it, I think most people caught it, is everybody's unique. You just gotta release all the other stuff so you can see it. And you said glossophobia. Key point, there's a difference between glossophobia and being a fear of public speaking. Glossophobia is like, it's debilitating.
Yeah. Totally.
Go into full fight, flight, freeze, fall mode. But what I have to say is, with Restream, I did streaming 3 years ago. I was doing live streaming, doing game streaming. So I got used to the systems and setting up scenes so you could quickly change and swap from one thing to the other.
I don't even know what those things are. So I look at it and you think, what is that for? I'll find out one day.
It's like, think of it like your PowerPoint, but your PowerPoint slides change your camera angles and stuff. Or really? What? You can actually set it up so one scene is you full screen or your other participants, and then another screen is your full screen share and you're down in the corner. There's all kinds of things you can do.
Wow.
But it illustrates a great point. Whether you're learning how to use Restream or you're trying to speak before an audience, whether it's 2 or 2,000, it just takes action, right? You said, Annie, you're on a mission to help people. I like to say it this way. I'm not on a mission to build confidence. I'm actually on a mission to show people they already have it.
Yeah, true.
After years of conditioning, you look at young kids, they don't care. I have an 8-year-old. He dances like nobody's watching, even when mom and I are watching, or the neighbors are watching, in his underwear, and he doesn't care. No hair comb, none of that. Streaks of food. Think of back when we were kids, before we learned to be afraid of everything. How do we get back? It's micro steps, right? Speak to one person. Then, get comfortable with that and upgrade it. 5 people, 10 people. Constantly build. But the other thing is, here's a question for everyone, and then I'll pass the mic for the next. Is it a fear about the audience or what you think the audience will prove about you?
That one. The second part. It's all about, I think it's all about us. The problem with public speaking is, when we have a problem with it, it's us we have a problem with. Because yes, they might judge us. Yes, we might get it, but I think we get upset. It's when we get obsessed with ourselves, our ego, how I come across, how I look, how I sound, that we have a problem. I think when you can just let that go, as Paulette said, when you can just be yourself, the audience is not. The audience will they're there to. They want us to do well. They want to understand us. They want to, be on our side. That's my personal belief, anyway. But I think when we go in there, I must be perfect. I must get it right. I must not make a mistake. I must not screw this up. Plus I have to be funny. I have to be interesting. I have to be engaging. It's like, no, you don't. Just go and talk. Just go and, as Paulette said, and as you just said, Sean, you're talking to one person. If one person goes away from there with your message, you've done your job. But I think we have a whole different way of looking at it. That's a mindset trap that we fall into. Krista, what do you think? I've muted you, so I don't know how to unmute you now. Yeah, no, I do. There you go.
One thing, when you're public speaking, especially if you're actually in person, do not do what they always joked about. Do not imagine your audience naked. Do not do it.
Why not?
Do it. That is horrific. Now, when I would practice for my the interview portions of the pageants, my mom would have me do it in a mirror. But one thing that she taught me, and it's been a good thing and a bad thing for my public speaking, is you want them to think that you're looking at them in the eyes, usually. But if you do have that fear, look right above them. Don't and pick a point. Like with dancers, when dancers are turning fast, you have a point that you focus on, and you pick that, and you have that as your focal point to keep going. That's why, I will purposely look at Paulette, because looking at Paulette is calming for me. I know Paulette doesn't judge me. Anybody on this stage, I know I can speak to comfortably. So I don't feel that anxiety when I come on the stage with you guys. Because we've had many conversations just freely. We've done private conversations and everything. And Sean, you need to give me a tutorial on, the streaming with gaming and stuff. Please. Anyway, so, but I just actually pulled up a different thing when it comes to the different fears of public speaking. I sent it to you. But you have normal nerves when you're just getting ready for a presentation, and then stage fright is your next level of intensity. Then the glossophobia, which is high and you tend to avoid. Social anxieties. And then you also have your trauma-based, which Paulette brought up, and who of us doesn't have some kid-based trauma of speaking in public, or running or playing in public, where, we have that memory in the back of our head where we were bringing this beautiful plate of food out to everybody and trip, or, something along those lines, or forget your lines, miss the note that you're singing. And that's in the back of our subconscious. So that is a variable, to where you overcome. For me, honestly, I like the gab, so it's not as hard for me. But it took me a lot to overcome just being alone on stage, and being able to just host a live where it's just me talking about a certain topic. You know me, I would much rather have a group with me to have these panels where we're all learning from each other, talking, whether we have, varying opinions, having a good debate, whatever, versus sitting up here and just talking and paying attention to the chat. It's so much easier when you have somebody, even if you're not sitting next to the person, but through the camera, being able to have that conversation. And that does help get the fear of, public speaking, alleviated a little bit. If you can find that one person in the crowd that you can fix on and just pretend that you're talking to them, it makes it a lot easier. You know?
Yeah, look, I think that I agree with for sure. I think, again, it goes back to Paula's point about it's talking to the unfamiliar, the unknown room, people you don't know, and you think you don't know, and what would they think? What will what I do? Will what I did before work? I think picking that person, it helps. It helps to have that person in the room. I remember when I went to Ghana, and there's always going to be one. Again, everything you've said so far, Crystal, and everyone else. Yes, you want to look at the audience. Is the point, right? You actually want to make eye contact with people in the audience, but you don't want to do it too quick, right? You don't want to do it. You have to find your comfort zone and ease into it. I think is a lesson I learned, right? And don't look in their eyes, because I remember I looked up there and this woman was just like, I'm like, screw you. And I just carried on. And the worst thing that she was a co-speaker. She was a speaker as well. But I will
see your screw you and raise you a bite me.
I was like, no, I'm not even gonna.
I had to add my little comedy in, and now I will mute myself.
I think that sort of thing could knock anyone. I think as someone mentioned, I saw in the chat. I see. I think it was you, Sean. So Sean, what's the strategy of yours? So practice it brow. So don't look them in the eyes first of all, right?
Right, because when you're already nervous, right, you're already playing with all those thoughts of what if I screw this up? What if they don't like me? What if I don't bring the value they expect? I think Paulette kind of highlighted that when she said she's a 22-year-old young woman in front of all these important salespeople for the company. That, giving somebody eye contact can be very, very intimidating. So you look brow, nose. Brow, nose.
I like that.
It gives to the receiver, it's eye contact. But you got a moving target and you're not locking on. And the same thing like what you talked about, Annie. I interviewed a speaking coach on the podcast, and she talked about one of her early talks that she gave, and a lady up front broke down in tears. And it threw her. Like, she's like, for a moment, she's like, she just froze. She's like, what do I do? Like, my talk wasn't supposed to make people cry, but it does. I was coaching the other day, and like, we just sat in silence because my client, I could just see it on their face, and I just let it sit, let her, I always heard there's healing in tears. But the brow, nose, following that triangle and moving, do it on one person, do it a few times, then go to another person, so you're giving eye contact. So nobody's feeling like, hello, over here.
I like that.
And really the shift comes when we stop trying to perform confidence.
Yes, I agree.
And we just focus on serving that one person in that audience that is just dying to hear the message we're going to share.
Yeah.
It takes the focus off of yourself, because often the fear is, I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to look stupid. I'm trying to protect my reputation, my persona, my identity of who I want people to see me as. And when you're not comfortable and confident in your identity, of course, it's going to be nerve-wracking. The other twist is excitement, fear. The only difference is the story.
Yeah.
Oh, I just did this. Okay, wait. Download.
Same feeling.
excited or fear, it all comes down to the thought between your ears.
It's true. No, it's true. It's the same feeling physiologically. So it's whether we say I'm excited or I'm nervous. Paulette, are you dying to speak? Let me welcome
I
the show.
am, yeah, I am. Only because something that's been said is quite interesting, because I did some work for the National Teachers Association when I was a consultant, and we were working on some public speaking work with teachers to help them become better teachers. So there are teachers who can teach. They have that knack. They just were born with it. And there are teachers that really struggle and have to work at it. And what we found was that when you separate a class down the middle, and this is really, really, really important for public speaking, when you separate a class into two halves, and you have two halves in the class, the teacher doesn't know this, okay? But we tell the children, you side, I'm going to give lots of positive affirmations, lots of nodding and getting it, and yep, on that, yep, got it, understood it, right? The other side, zero feedback, zero. So you just sit there. You will find that the teacher moves across the classroom and stands in front of the part of the class that are giving positive affirmations or positive feelings. It's natural. You're looking for something back. It's an exchange, and it's a chemical exchange. It's an exchange of vibrations. It's a vibrational exchange. And when we said to the class, reverse, reverse. So then that side of the class were giving it all the this, and the other side, and the teacher moved across to the other side of the class. It was genius. What it proved was what we'd always said, was that there weren't good or bad teachers. There were teachers that hadn't been trained properly on how to engage with children, how to engage with the class. There are some classes that need the banter and the bit of humour and allowing that kind of buzz in the classroom, and there are other teachers that like a quiet, studious, let's get on with it kind of moment. But as long as they're getting the feedback from the whole class, or let's go 70%, because there's always 30% looking out the window, but let's go with 70%. You're feeling like you're doing a good job. And when that teacher feels like they've done a good job in lesson 1, guess what happens in lesson 2?
You do it
Then they're
again.
going in more positive. By the end of the day, they're not shattered, they're not burnt out, they're not exhausted. They're actually on a high because they've walked away knowing they've done a great job that day. And it was a really interesting study, and it did get published. And the interesting part for me is when you look at public speaking, and again through the Carnegie system, they use that exact idea that you like, if you don't like looking at people's faces, if you are worried that somebody's going to roll their eyes and go like, you what, really? What do they know? If you get frightened of that comment, then that's not the person to look at, because you get the feeling, and you get that feeling when you're in a room. You sense it. There's like this vibrational, what do they know? You get it. You feel it. Whether it's 50, 500 or 1,000, you will feel that kind of humpy noise or the eye roll. You'll just sense that person. You'll pick them. You'll just zoom in straight into them, and you don't know why it happens, but it's a vibrational transaction.
It's so true.
What I believe is this. That's negative energy. So what one does is one turns away from that person, and you find the noddy person, the one that's giving you the yes, I agree, absolutely, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. When you get someone sitting there like a nodding dog, what you're saying is going home,
Mm.
right? So you focus on the noddies. You don't focus on the eye rollers, because the eye rollers don't even want to be there. Their company have paid for them to be there. They would far rather be on the golf course. This is a real pain in the ass for them. And sorry, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, it's past 11
It's
o'clock.
late.
It's 11 o'clock.
Past 11 o'clock. Okay. I'm allowed.
We've said a lot worse, honey.
But they don't want to be there. So really, the eye rollers, you focus away from the negative energy. And when you see a nodder, and there will be a nodder,
There's
what
many
did
of
I
them.
say the other day to somebody, Annie? I said, I will be in the audience nodding away, didn't I? Right? And that means they've got a nodder. And if you only get one nodder, then you're there. You feel comfortable. You know that the message is getting home. And that is the most important message that I can give to anybody when there is that, especially in public, where there's that transactional negative energy coming across from someone, I just go, whoa, and move away. And I don't even give that person, I won't even give them another look back. I'm not going to put my energy into trying to convert them, because they don't want to be there. So I'll talk to the people that really want to be engaged and want to learn and want to get something from this. And the other people can just sit there and play on their whatevers, I don't care. So
Ignore those ones too. The ones who are trying to distract you by being distracted. No, don't pay attention to them either. I think, let me welcome Lachelle properly. Lachelle, welcome. Now, this is a lady who knows how to host everything, events, live streams, TV. She does it so beautifully. I spend a lot of time watching Lachelle, listening to one of her podcasts on Audible a couple of nights, just at a weekend, I think, before I left Margate. And I was like, wow, I'm talking to a single dad about his experiences with the show, because you're wondering, did he really? I really did. There's quite a few episodes of that, right? She is brilliant. So there's so much that we can do. So Brother Charlie, and so Natalie says, I hated public speaking as a child. As a maturing adult, I like that. Gently maturing adult. Yeah, you're getting old, Nat. You're getting old. I'm fairly neutral on the activity. You can I can enjoy. I think that's the point. I think public speaking is actually enjoyable. Of course, for those who are petrified now, which I was until I actually took to a stage. It's the greatest fun there is. It really is, because you can impact many at once. You can see their faces lighting up. I think a lot of it is knowing your audience, know your audience, and even if there's 100, I'm saying talking to that one person is everything. That one person is going to go away and use what you say. So when I was in Ghana, I just focused on the young people. And my thing was making them engage, making them actually play the game, raise their hand, answer the questions, not just sit there quietly. And I was just going from side to side on the stage talking to the kids. And I survived. That's all I can say. Brother Charlie, I see you. So I was told that I wasn't approachable. Don't get away with that. People it's not people. Some people are there to they're playing their role. There is something in this whole conversation that involves personality, but who we are deep down. Some people are nice people naturally. Some are not so nice. Some are gregarious. Some are not. Some are extrovert. Some are not, Sean. I'm not saying we can't change them. I'm saying, people have their own personalities. So don't let that destroy you. We must learn the skills of public speaking. Which is where I want to go next. How do we prepare? I said already, writing a whole script is not going to work, because you scare yourself more, because you might miss your line, you might miss a paragraph, you might forget how to read, which can happen. So that's not going to work. At the same time, Sean, blagging it's not going to work either. You can't just turn up and blag it. That's never going to work, right? So I think that there is a preparation for public speaking that really can help, right? Where's Natalie's latest comment? I can't see. Okay, I forgot the screen moves quite a lot. I didn't see how far it moved.
I can read it if you want, because I'm looking right at it.
I'll put it on the screen. This one?
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
for it. Feel free.
Yeah. And this comment it's true, because there is no correct way to public speak. You know, Natalie, you nailed it in what you said. There are a few circumstances and interactions that require a certain level of face-to-face, and yes, that's true. And it can be perceived as aggressive depending on your body language and how you are looking at them, because we like to joke that Matt has a resting dick face. I have a coworker that has a resting bitch face, and they don't mean to. It's just the way they are,
Yeah.
But it can seem like when you're looking at them and speaking with them that they're aggressive or intense, and it's not intentional. And when you were talking about the personality thing, everybody has their personality. Well, if you ask Matt, I've got 16 in a conference in my head. So which one would you like to be the public speaker today? As most of you know, you usually get the comedian when I've got the three of you on stage with me, because the rooms that you create, that I like to create, Sean, Paulette, we like them to be comfortable. So we will make jokes and be silly at times, because yes, the topics we're talking about are very important, but we want our audience to realize that we're normal people who care about each other and, can have that rapport and everything. And so that we seem human, even though we're knowledgeable. That's the one thing that I always took away, especially speaking with you, Paulette and Sean, when I was building, the Crystal Phoenix, as I was building, and any, making my viewers, the people that I'm trying to reach, understand I am just human. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. I'm constantly learning. And I love to laugh at myself, because laughing is very healing. It's cleansing. And if you can laugh at yourself at the end of the day, then no matter what somebody else says to you or about you, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you are who you are. And that's perfect. I'm constantly learning, growing, changing. Everybody in this room knows this about me. Ask Matt, a couple hours ago, I was the beanbag, playing my video game. And now I'm here, talking with you guys about, the fear of public speaking. Annie, you are in my very first event.
Yeah,
And
I remember. A long time ago.
And Paulette, you were the very first live video event that I ever did and it was with you and Marcia. And I did not speak this fluently or anything. I was so nervous about everything. And practice does make imperfect, because frankly, we're never going to be perfect. And I don't want to be. I don't want to be perfect, because then I might as well be a robot, and that's no fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would love to have a deadpan face and a deadpan approach to these things. I really would. But every so often I try. I'm funny, so I try and be funny. But I know, when it comes to going on stage, I'm very careful how much I want to use humor. Because in networking events, it never works. There's a room full of 50 people listen to your elevator speech, call it what you like, right? Only I would end up laughing at my own jokes. I just stopped telling jokes in public. But I think when you do public speaking, you have to tell someone, you have to make them laugh somehow, show some personality for sure.
Do you know,
Sean,
can I do,
go on,
but
sorry,
I'm going to go
sorry.
to bed, so I'm just going to say one thing
Go
about
for it.
everything that we're all saying. You know, if someone gives you a snarky comment or a snarky look, we have to just let it kind of like wash over us and just literally just watch it disappear behind us, you know, burn the match and see it go. It doesn't matter, it's gone, you know. The most important thing is that it's impactful. Whatever you say is impactful. So that means someone goes away going, that has really made me feel a certain kind of way. Even if it is something that seems to be common sense, even if it seems to be obvious to everybody else in the room, but to that one person, it was impactful, then what you've done is you've done what you were meant to do. Now, when we had the audio rooms and we'd have like 80 or 90 people in the room, I used to use my mouse and I used to literally go around the room and say hello to everybody, but kind of put my mouse under them and sort of say hi, hi, as if they were there, because all you could see was like the little face kind of thing, right? But I would go around and say hello to everybody as part of my like starting of the mental illness rooms. And, you know, sometimes there'd be 80 people and you'd be like, for goodness sake, you know, you can't do that.
It
It'd take a while, you know? And I'd be like, but everybody feels so welcome. And now we find with these rooms that we're doing now, where it's audio and video, there's a lot less people come up on stage. There's a lot less people are prepared to go on camera. There's a lot less people are willing to put their head above the parapet. But that's not me being critical. It's not a criticism. I understand you probably do enough of all this all day long and you don't want to do it maybe, or it's just not your thing anymore. But in the audio rooms, we used to have to sort of think, we can't have 20 speakers. You know, we've got to sort of say to people, well, you spoke last week, so we're going to kind of like leave you off a bit and kind of go with this view. Because we used to, didn't we, only we had 20 people wanted to come up and speak because it was audio room. And then
Yes,
it became video, it changed.
I think video, by showing people's faces, puts them in it's closer to a public speaking scenario than audio ever was.
Of course.
You know, and many people feel genuinely threatened by, you know, they get the same feelings, similar feelings as they would go, you know, if you say go on stage.
Exactly.
You know, they would literally freeze.
Whereas
and they said no.
it was like being down the phone. You know, it was just like being down the phone before. They couldn't see you, you couldn't see them. Well, they could see you, but you know, there was no.
They couldn't really see you.
You know, I
They
didn't know if
see
they
your
were
real
in their
time.
underpants, dancing around the kitchen,
Yeah, no, you
or
don't.
what they were doing. You know, they just happened to be on the online with us. But you know, suddenly there are less people coming to the rooms. Number one, number two, the people are less likely to come on stage, even if it's a really important topic, because they don't want to put their faces on it. And I get it. People can be really critical. I had somebody write a really, well, interestingly rude comment. You know, who does she think she is? Well, I don't think I'm anybody, so whatever. And then it was, how old is she? And it was like, it's not a secret. Ask me.
What was her point?
It was about you saying about I had a glow up, or someone said she's had a glow up, and that meant that something had happened to me. So I'd gone off and been really ill, lost some weight, put some makeup on. And apparently, I'd had surgery. I don't know what I'd had, but you know, whatever. It was not surgery they thought I was having. I had half my stomach removed, you know. But it wasn't for the reasons they thought, you know. And it was very, very funny. And for me, it's not personal. I don't care. I'm an open book. I'll tell you, no, I'm not on Ozempic. I'm not on any drugs. Not that I'm against anybody being whatever you do you. But I felt I thought it was funny that they took the time to type this message to me about what was my glow up. And I went back and I said, Charlotte Tilbury, darling, because obviously, you know, that's her big thing that she says, Charlotte Tilbury, darling. So I just went back without being sarky. and of course, over their heads because they didn't get it. But for me, I didn't retaliate. I didn't make a snotty comment. I said 61 and going strong, glad to be here. I left it and then walk away. You don't have to get into a fight with people, but that's the negative energy that I would like to just go delete, block, gone, bang. But I'm learning to try not to do that because I don't think that is a great way to be. But it does happen, and you do find
Yeah,
yourself wanting to do that more and more
you
with
do.
some of the comments. So that's all I would say is, for me, understand that there will always be somebody out there who's got something about you that they don't like. They don't like your hair, they don't like the colour of your skin, they don't like the colour of your eyes, the glasses, the clothes you wear, what you say. I could
How
go
you
on.
say it.
How you say it, what
Yeah.
you say, when you say it, right?
We could
Bloody
ignore
English,
that.
always coming over and
Mm.
preaching to us who they think they are. I'm like, whoa, I'm not preaching. You
Yeah,
come
Cool.
into the room, right?
ignore that. Ignore
Well,
that.
The thing
then don't
about it,
listen to me. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
You don't like what I'm saying. You don't like how I look. You don't like.
swipe
Don't come.
left.
Don't come to my channel. That's as simple as that. We call them trolls in YouTube land,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
honestly, it's like obvious. Something about me is making you listen. So you are actually getting something out of this, but you don't like that fact. So you're going to do this, and I'm going to do, excuse me for a second, I'm going to do this because I don't care.
Don't do that on stage. Don't do that on stage. Whatever you do, right? Try not to.
But
I mean, should you do that? Should you do that on stage? Is a question, Sean.
it,
You know,
No,
I've never.
I was gonna speak up. Yes, I don't recommend this.
No, I won't actually. But when I have trolls, that's the one good thing about my mods. I do have moderators for my YouTube channel, and when I'm doing an important live, I will set them up to be there. And if I've got a troll in my chat, they're booted. They are removed from the chat and they are blocked. So I am figuratively giving them the finger by saying bye bye. Don't have to literally do it, but by saying I don't need your negativity in my world, so you don't need to be on my channel.
And I think all of us on stage here, the fact that we're on stage showing cameras after you just had that big long discussion about how people don't want to come on camera, which is why, like on my live, I say, look, I'm on camera because I'm trying to be present here with you. But if you want to come up and speak, it's early in the morning maybe for you and you're still in your pajamas, I don't care. Come up, share your thoughts, share your ideas. I think of that old saying, haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
Right? It's less about you and more about their own junk.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, some of us can handle that. We can laugh at our mistakes. We can let that whatever. I saw a video, Vietnam veteran waiting in the grocery line. Guy cuts in front of him and just says Black History Month. Now, when I'm used to looking at like Black Friday, videos where people are attacking people over a TV that's on sale, this old man just tells them a joke and introduces himself. He stayed calm, cool, collected. Not everybody can do that, but I think the key thing is you use your mods, block, delete, boot them if necessary, especially because I've seen some of these rooms. There's people that have come in and really stirred up a lot of yuck.
For sure.
But I was thinking of a story earlier and I can't remember what it was. But on your topic of personality, how do you think you're going to show up on a live video like this, or on a stage, if you tell yourself all the time, I'm not really a public speaker. I remember the story. So I was a commentator on somebody else's live summit. And one of the speakers was telling a story of how she actually became a public speaker. And somebody one time said, "Hey, how did you become a public speaker?" She says, "I said, I'm a public speaker." And they're like, "No way." She's like, "Yeah.
Yes way.
Around.
Yes way.
I'm a public speaker." And then the opportunities came and she lived into it. And that's powerful, right? If you go into it with this, you're preparing to feel safe, you're preparing so you're not going to feel afraid. That's a different perspective than if you're going like, I'm preparing so my message is clear. That it's going to reach somebody and change their life.
Yeah. Even with our quirks. I remember telling my wife, I'm going to Ghana. She said, "What for?" I said, "To go and speak on stage." She's like, "But you always stammer." I'm like, "Not this time," And no, I didn't stammer. I think it came from telling myself, "Sean, I'm a public speaker because I speak on stages, right? Put me on stage, I'll speak." I'm saying, no, I think having that conversation with yourself, Sean talks about your identity a lot of the time. And I think, making being a confident speaker your identity is crucial. If you walk around saying, I'm an introvert, I can't speak in public. I did that long enough. It doesn't help at all. It holds you in place. So there's something that our friend Bro Charlie is saying, which I agree with. It says patronize before you criticize. Yeah, a lot of people do come to criticize you rather than patronize. They want to come and criticize us, and they're not willing. They have no intention of paying for what we do. I think I say ignore. We have to learn to ignore them, right? If someone's paying my bill, if you're a customer of mine, I care what you say a bit more than someone who's not paying my bill. If you're not paying my bill at all, I will as good as ignore you. As good as. So even when people are rude in our comments, for example, or at my events, half the time I don't even notice. I'm just like, right? I'm in Annie's little happy world. So I just ignore them and just bypass them and just carry on. So I'm just making the point that we're saying I'm a public speaker, making that your identity is crucial, right? It's crucial to do what we do. As Brother Charlie said, some people are sharp as a bowling ball. That's not very sharp.
Charlie is just keeps making me laugh. It's oh my god! I keep reading the chat. I'm like, okay, I need to turn my camera off. But I will be back in about 5 minutes. I need to go feed and water chickens and get eggs.
That's all right. We don't want the folks getting your chickens. It's a fine time thing, right? I used to have chickens, so yes. I know you have to go and do it before you get.
When eggs are $5 at least a dozen, and you can we get between 10 and 15 eggs a day.
Wow, you must have lots. How many chickens do you have? You have many.
We have, I believe it's 12 in the small pen, and then we have about 8 older hens, and we're hatching 12 eggs because it's almost Easter, and the nephews, they're 6 and 4. They love watching them. So,
yes, go do what you have to do. Hopefully, we'll still be here.
I have to, go feed some chickens.
Thank you.
And I love you guys. If you are not still on, because it's cold. I have to bundle up before I get out there.
You do. So, no, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your
Always.
journey
Thank you
with
for
us.
inviting me, and I can't wait to
And
see
thank you
you tomorrow.
thank you for buying a ticket. But thank you for buying a ticket. Now, so that cheers me up.
Yes,
Knowing
I did. I
really,
did get my ticket.
yeah, I know. Don't worry, don't you worry. I see everyone who's bought a
Yeah.
ticket. I see everyone.
But I haven't gotten my email, which kind of worried me. So
It's coming. Why are you worried?
well, I
Don't
will.
worry.
I will send you a message if I don't have my email with the link tomorrow.
Everyone's gonna get the email. I'm waiting to see how many who has to be on the list, who's bought a ticket. I don't want to send 3 emails. Through those emails.
I will send you the screenshot of my ticket if you want.
You do that, my friend. Don't you worry. Like your ticket has a Zoom link on it, right? Your confirmation has a
I've
Zoom
never
link on
got the
it.
confirmation.
Okay.
For some reason, my email
I-
didn't go through with it.
It's fine. You with the workbook and with your link. I promise you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Natalie does say hit the nail on the head, Crystal.
Yeah,
You're
I saw
great.
that. I commented.
You still remember, your shares of mindfulness Mondays, which are coming back apparently. So look forward to that for sure. Let me show a video quick before we'll carry on, my friends. Paulette and Sean, I guess let's go to top tips. I think, and I want to know that top tips because we have 6 speakers tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be many more as the months go by when it comes to author speakers conferences. So I would love to know what your big tips for our speakers are. Let me show this quick 3-minute video about public speaking, and let's see what we can learn from it, if that's all right. Sean will say there's a better way to do this, and you could easily have lined this up on the scenes thing. I have no idea what that means. Oh, I will learn, right? How do I lose that comment? It's still there. I'm trying to get rid of it, but it's still there. Okay, get rid of that. Yay. Okay, now we'll go to my graphics, find my video, and then play my video. Video clips. Okay, here it goes.
Arises from 2 primary sources: your personality and uncertainty. Let's start by looking at personality. The truth is that some people are more comfortable in social situations, whereas other people are less comfortable in those situations. Now, there's really little that we can change when it comes to our genetic predispositions. What we can change relates to that second aspect, that second component of why a lot of people fear public speaking, and that's uncertainty. There are lots of things that people are uncertain about. People might be uncertain about how their ideas will be perceived, how they'll be judged, or the impression that they'll make on an audience. The key is not to spend so much time worrying about that uncertainty, but rather focus on the opportunity that they have to stand in front of an audience and speak about something they care about. Let's talk about some sets of strategies that people can use to overcome that fear. The first category is called visualization. The idea of seeing ourselves being successful. The idea of seeing the sequence of steps that we're going to take from the moment we enter the room to the moment we get that applause at the end can actually help us be more successful. The second set of strategies that I want to talk about relate to anti-nervousness techniques or relaxation techniques. Now, there are all sorts of ways to relax before giving a presentation. One of the most common sets of exercises focuses on breathing exercises. The first relaxation technique that I want to talk about is the T repeater. Now, the T repeater is actually a technique that I developed to help my students relax before their presentations. The way it works is I encourage my students to turn their palms up, take a deep breath in, and then exhale the T sound. Doing so creates a sense of relaxation that often helps a lot of students focus on their message right before they get out in front of the audience. The next set of relaxation techniques that often work well involve eye contact, and one in particular that I like to emphasize is called easing into eye contact. Now, one of the reasons a lot of people are nervous is because they feel like people are judging them, that people are staring at them when they stand out in front of the audience. So what you can do, rather than look directly into the eyes of the people you're talking to, is ease into eye contact. Try actually looking at a person's forehead, or if they're wearing glasses, at the rims of their glasses. Doing so creates the impression that you're looking at them without actually looking at them. The third category related to overcoming one's fear of public speaking connects to practice. Now, we all know the maxim that practice makes perfect, but what's most important is that we're practicing in specific ways. What we want to do is actually speak as much of our presentation as we can. We actually want to speak in front of a mirror or in front of a webcam. That way we can see ourselves succeeding. Moreover, we can also be attentive to what we do well and what we can improve. One of the most important parts of the presentation to practice is the introduction and the conclusion. The audience will be drawn in by the introduction and hopefully will be left with something to think about when it comes time for the conclusion. I want to emphasize that there's a real joy in stepping out in front of an audience, a real excitement that comes from sharing one's passion with a group of people. So we can't let the fear of public speaking paralyze us and inhibit our abilities to get to the next step, to get to the type of positions that we want and that we're ready.
Right. Okay, it stops itself. Excellent. So I think Annie's gone. Right. Hopefully you got something from that, my friends. If you're watching and to visualize, I think I did that. That certainly helps. I didn't see myself not being, any on the day. That's the thing. And I was any in my red suit you see behind me, and I was always going to shine. So, and of course, what was the other one? Relaxation. So, and easing into eye contact and practicing your presentation. I think the practicing thing is a hard one. Because some will say write it all down. I say don't. I think there's a rhythm to how we talk on stages. Know your content, yes, for sure. As I said, practice the introduction and know the rhythm. What comes next, what comes after that. Whatever you're gonna go with the points or with the stories that you're gonna tell at each stage. Just get know your order and know what you're going to say in each part. And speak. And as Paulette, as we said yesterday, speak from the heart, right? There is a dilemma that I have. Well, maybe I still have it. To be fair, my dilemma is this. I don't know if you two have an answer. If those in the audience have an answer, I'm more than happy to learn. Right? The dilemma is. Maybe it's always been my problem, which is I don't think many of us don't like our voice, the sound of our voice. There's some people you hear on here, you're like, wow, that's a voice. Sean's one of those people. You think, wow, voice, pace, tone is just to die for. There's many others. There's many others, whether for better or for worse. I'm British, and as a British person, we speak. We are much more. We're much calmer. So Americans are much louder. They're much more. That's the way we hear it anyway. But is it right? So this sound of your voice problem. What do you think about that? Let me leave it there.
It's a reality.
It's
definitely a reality, Annie, because unless you've recorded yourself and listened, the first time, I remember the first time I heard myself recorded, and I'm like, that's not my voice, is it? Like, what? Who is that? That's not me. Because it's physiology. We hear our voice in a different manner. The world hears it. So the first time we record it and we hear it the way the world hears it, it's going to be a shock. I appreciate the compliments, Annie. Over 300 podcast episodes. I've refined my voice a bit. And my side gig, the way I'm earning besides coaching right now is I talk to people all day from all over the world, coaching them on English. So I get a lot of practice.
I think you got it down to a T, right? You really have. Paulette, what's your take?
I think I was taught to breathe, which is really interesting, because you think, well, of course you're breathing because you're alive, but there's a real desire to get the information out as quickly as you possibly can. Sometimes just so you can get your bit done and get off stage, right? So I remember being Helena in Midsummer Night's Dream, and there was a huge soliloquy he had to say. And I was like, and she's like, no, we're not having that. And I'm like, no, I know the words. She said, yes, but you're speaking them so fast, we can't actually hear one word. And I was like, but it's the big one. And she was like, I know. And I'm like, if you stop me now, I might not get it out. And I just knew if I start there, I can finish there. And it was like literally verbal diarrhea. Have it, there you are. And she said, no, I want you to say this line and breathe. And then look. And then say this line and breathe and look. And I was thinking, I'll never remember it now because I've got to breathe. Of course, if you're going to act, to stand on stage like a robot and just recite lines isn't the idea. But you don't know that when you're 14. All you know is you've got a major part in a play. It's Shakespeare. This is really scary. And if you've seen the length of that soliloquy, and then you think, actually, I can do this now. She's shown me how to do it. So all I'm doing is exactly verbatim, but with these like breaths in between. And I think that the learning to take that, when I learned to become a therapist, there's a saying we have, which is wait. Why am I talking? So the idea is in a therapy session, you'll be speaking and then you go, and now it's your turn. And they go, because they're waiting for you to fill the gap. But you don't. You mustn't. Because the whole point is it's this transactional situation where you're giving something and you want something back. In order for them to move along the line of getting better, they need to be able to download. And if they can't download, they're either not feeling relaxed or it's so tight. There's a lot more unraveling to do. But you have to learn the why am I talking? This is their session, not mine, right? And I think that was another one of those, dare I call them nuggets, right? Breathe and then let the other person speak. Let the other person laugh. You know, there's no point making a joke and people are laughing, but you're carrying on, right? Because you've got something to say and you're desperate to say it. And you've completely missed the fact that your audience are loving it and they're laughing with you, but you've just gone trampling over them. They've missed the next two sentences because you are just trampling over their laughter. So the idea, like if you're a comedian, you are taught to say a joke or say your funny line and then wait for the laughter. And so we were taught that very early on in public speaking, that, you know, wait for the heckle, wait for the comment, expect something here, there'll be a titter, it will pass around because that's how it works. Somebody will giggle or make a little noise and then somebody else will snigger, and then before you know where you are, there's a little bit of a belly laugh, and then you bring it back and off you go again. But you have to give them that opportunity to be part of what you're doing and not trample over it. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. I think, you know, it's a breathing part, right? We need to actually, you know, it's not a rush. You know, I know why it feels like a rush. You know, so again, I want to come to you two and wonder what you think. Let me welcome Kelly. So Kelly Gilbert's here. How are you doing, Kelly? So Kelly's new book is coming out soon. You know, Kelly is the author of, you know, Plants Saved My Life. That's his first book. If you don't know who he is, a holistic wellness genius. And now he's written a book about how to essentially reverse type 2 diabetes. So he's one of our speakers tomorrow. So he's one of those Americans who has a booming voice for someone so small, and I just think, how the hell do you do it, Kelly? But but it's not just that. He tells funny stories. He's a storyteller supreme. He tells stories all day, and they're all very meaningful. If you ever wondered what an ant has to do with humanity, listen to Kelly. He'll tell you all about a grasshopper. He has the stories, all of them, right? Kelly, welcome to join us. Just come and hear him tomorrow. Apart from Paulette, just come and listen to Kelly tell his stories, and you'll be amazed. I saw someone else. I seen Philip. So Philip is here as well. Philip Ells, how you doing, sir? Great to see you. Always, Sean. This restream thing is a bit weird in that way. I don't know how he does what he does there. Right? So you're here.
Right.
Look. I mean, this issue. Oh, Jeffrey, how you doing, Jeffrey? Great to see you, my friend. It's a long time, but we'll see you more and more these days. And of course, there's a legend that is Felicia, who is an amazing speaker, author as well. So many of these people, including you, Sean, I hope to have in our next author speakers event.
Just don't put it on Thursday.
No,
Paulette reached out to me, and it's Thursday is part of my protected list.
Really? Oh, yeah.
I have a list of boundaries. They're non-negotiable. So no matter what opportunity, even if you came to me and said, Sean, I really need you to be a speaker, I'll pay you $10,000. I would have said, sorry, Annie, can't do it.
Okay. No, so it's not going to be on Thursday then, Sean. It'll be a different day. All right. So let's talk about
based on the 10,000.
Yeah. I can't afford to waste my 10,000. That's really well used. You have to be there to make it happen, right? You see, my other real issue is that the longer I talk, the more I realize I'm talking. Like Paulette just said, and as soon as I realize I'm talking, it all goes to pot. But my temptation is to stop talking, because my brain just goes, Right. How do we get over that?
Embrace the pause, embrace the silence. In this world today, we're talking about public speaking being a top fear. The second one on the list, silence.
Yeah, someone said that in our chat. Someone said that the worst thing is, is more scared of public listening or lack of.
Right? How many times does silence enter a conversation and we're scrambling oh my God, what's going on? What's happening? I gotta fill this gap. I like Paulette's, acronym. And I would say, embrace the pause, embrace the silence, intentional breathing before and during your talk.
Go on, Paul.
I pressed the wrong button. Sorry, I nearly disappeared off the stage. I'm learning where to stick my finger as well, just so you know, guys. And that's all I have to do, and I still can't do it. So but I'm learning. So one of the things that Sean.
Yes, you heard that. Yes. You're still amused,
I'm
right?
always gonna hit the point.
What did I miss that even has Sean rolling? Okay, I'm gonna have to rewind.
Where to stick my finger? That's what I said, Crystal. So I get the buttons wrong.
Yeah.
I've only got 3, but I nearly disappeared off the stage.
Okay.
But the thing I was going to say that even more important, Sean's gone. I've lost him.
Oh, I am too. Now that I've heard it, I am too. Oh.
My finger's fine. It's here. We'll keep it out there. We've got it under control now, guys. Do not worry. I've got it here. We needn't worry. It's sorted out. I've got it. But the thing about the pause, whether it's in a therapy session or whether it was going back to drama, whether it's the public speaking, when we had the audio rooms, we never had the pause.
No.
Shall I tell you why? Because it was like a telephone call. How often do you need to pause on a telephone call? You don't. You're just chatting backwards and forwards. This is a whole different setup now. This is so much more like a public speaking arena. And when I do the children's anxiety room, I prepare really hard. I mean, you know I do. I come with pages of notes that I've gone through psychology books and therapy books and you name it. I come prepared. But I don't come prepared because I'm expecting someone to try and trip me up. I come prepared so that I'm giving engaging content and hopefully something useful. I think that what I've noticed is I do a sermon and I've watched myself back because I've thought, God, do I talk, right? Do I ever, you know? But you just let me. You just go, there you go. It's your show. Off you go. And then off I go. And it's like somebody's wound me up and and at some point I have to stop myself and go, shall I ask Kenny if he's got an opinion on this? And then he's watching the football, right? He's gone, right? I know what's going on here because I can hear it in the background. So I kind of find myself more over understanding that there are different types of rooms. This is very informal. This is very chatty. This is ideas. This is a conversational room. This is what we were just talking about, which is just transferring data from one person to another, but with feeling, right? But when you're sitting in a room and you have an intention to deliver a message, that is far more of a sermon, if you like. And I sometimes realize, looking back at some of my sessions, that I've spoken for 23, 24 minutes and he's just gone off and made a cup of tea. He comes back with his cup of tea and then I say, what do you think? And he goes, yeah, it's great. Should we have a look at the messages underneath now? And I could kill him because I know damn well I haven't heard a word I've said, right? He's gone for a wee, he's gone for a cup of tea, he's probably checked the score. You know, I understand what's going on now, Mr. Enio-san. But the key, you're giggling away back there, I can hear you. The point, I know the game is up. But the point is, as long as that 23 minutes of sermon had value, that's fine, right? That is fine. It's a lesson. I'm trying to teach something or explain something. That's fine. But I never ever want someone to say to me, like I've had, does she ever shut up? And I'm like, okay, go back and watch it, right? Was there any point where somebody tried to come up on stage and join us? Was there any point when anyone made any effort? And there wasn't. So what do you do in that situation?
Please talk.
He's gone off to make his tea.
Carry on talking. Yeah, talk.
You've
and
not got off to make a cup of tea.
Yeah, sometimes I'm there, man. I'm just there. You know, if no one's on stage to break up the conversation, then you can talk away.
See, and I feel you guys feel that way about me all the time. Does she ever shut up?
No, you're sure, and it's your show, but you haven't got a co-host either. We've got a show half the time. Yeah, go on, Sean.
I actually have like a physical job now, so when I can come in, I like to share and talk with you guys because I don't get to see you as much, so I have a lot more to say. And I did want to say hi to Philip. I noticed he came in and say hi, Philip, and also really quick thank you. He helped me with getting the paperwork for like letting me know what I needed paperwork wise for my son to get his father's military benefits. And he really helped me out with that. So thank you, Philip. He is getting the military scholarships and stuff. And you really helped with showing me what paperwork I needed to get for my son to get his father's benefits. So thank you, Philip. You really did help me out with your knowledge. So
Awesome. No, again, Sean, it's like you're a solo host at best of times.
Well, and that's not part of that was when I launched Monday Mind Shift, it was about the audio rooms, and I loved the audio rooms because I wanted the conversation. And then LinkedIn nixed them. Well, I live by what's sometimes called the 10th beatitude. Blessed is the flexible person, for they are never bent out of shape. And so I just rolled right over to Restream and just, adjusted a little bit. And for a moment, I had a co-host, and then I lost my co-host. And then I had a backup co-host, and she couldn't connect to Restream. So I'm not going to cut the show because I don't have I would love to have a co-host, and I usually reserve at least the last 15 minutes of the show for Q&A. A lot of times I'm like, hey, somebody come up here and join me. I'm feeling really silly right now. But and I'm getting more and more. But I think this connects back to what Natalie said. It's about reading the room. Know your audience, know the space you're in. If it's more conversational, there's more space for the popcorn thing. If it's a forum or a moderated discussion, then respect the host. I've seen, where the host is like, okay, Paulette, what are your thoughts on blah, 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 that comment that Philip just put or whatever? And they literally will call out. Everybody does their show differently. Just like, I think Natalie also, no, it wasn't Natalie. It was, she's gone now. I can't remember. Annie had shared, there's no right way or wrong way to do this. And, even something you shared earlier, Annie, I felt the same way. Like you said, don't write your script. I always write my script and then I throw it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I write the script. I read the script. I have my outline with my bullet points, but I've read through that script, so I know the material.
Yeah.
Inside, outside, upside down. Because like Paulette said, when she prepares for Anxiety's Room, I do the same thing on Monday Mind Shift. I'm prepared. Because I do want it to be structure. I want it to have spine. I'll say it that way. It's not just like your spine. It can move, it can bend, but it holds everything together.
Yeah.
And on the topic of silence, I've noticed, like you guys said, with the audio rooms, everybody just kind of chimed in. And even sometimes on any shows, we get this, I'm like, and somebody else talk. And
I made sure there was no silence. There was never any silence, ever. Because I was pained by silence. I was pained by anything that's noticeable would used to hurt me. So I'll say something, always.
So on my podcast interviews, I've had several times where my guest is stepping on me. Like, I'm like, wow, like let a beat pass after I finished.
Yeah.
Because we are so uncomfortable with it, But like Paulette said, I, as a coach, that's the magic happens in the silence. I drop a question and I watch them. I'm like, oh, they're up here. And that's exactly where I want them to be.
You're the master of using the silent pause. When I watch your shows, your power boosts, you are you love to have that talk and then stop. And I'm thinking, Sean, speak, Sean.
Those are intentional. Those are entirely intentional.
It's by design.
And on the topic of that, I'm going to put a link in the chat. or in the comments.
You did it, yeah.
Highly recommend it. I just dropped it. I dropped one of my first episode of the podcast. I haven't gone back and listened to it in a long time.
This one.
Because it's a little embarrassing, but whatever. But the new one I just dropped is Julian Treasure giving his TED Talk. And it's how to speak so that people want to listen. If you don't watch any other TED Talk on the whole TED channel, watch that one. If you have any aspirations of speaking live on LinkedIn, on a stage, whatever, the man is brilliant.
Awesome. No, resources, right? You know, we've got quite a few today, and you know, there's many tips. I think, like all things in life, public speaking, you're gonna have to, get into it. You know, I think anything we do or we avoid out of fear costs us in the end. Public speaking is one thing that many people avoid. They give any excuse when deep down is fear. If you know it's fear, really that's controlling you. You know, there's no gain in falling for your fear. You know, that thing that will never happen. That's what I'll say for sure. You know, so. You know, I'm blessed. I'm not talking tomorrow. I'm talking, but I'm going to say I'm singing and dancing. I'm not doing a speech per se. Paulette is, yay! And Paulette, Kelly, my other amazing speakers. You know, and so the mission is what it is. It is to remove that fear that people have. Now, if I can do it for one person, just one person. You know, I think I've done my job, right? You know, I think everyone can speak well on stage. You know, I don't think you can get past the work part. You know, as Sean's mentioned a couple of times, we have to do the work. You have to do the work. Know your stuff, right? You know, know your stuff. Paulette knows her stuff. She's done this so many times. She hasn't even got to write anything down, but I know she'll still write something down. So, but know your stuff. There's no other way, you know. So, and I'm all for practicing what you're going to say, even if you're going to change. So, but the thing I would say, Krista, if you want to jump in after this, is simply don't change your message because don't if you come tell them what you come to tell them, you can adapt it a bit. You can adapt how you say it, but don't change your message. You know, so I was always guilty of that. I go networking. You know, by the time you've done 50 pitches, 50 and elevator pitches, called 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever you call it, right? I would change everything. That practice at home will suddenly change, and when it came my time, I just couldn't remember. I didn't know what I was going to say next. I just did not know what I was going to say. It's like, damn, and you've done it again. You know, so stick to your message. Know your core message, and despite as Sean calls it, and deliver your message. Work on that. Deliver that. Don't make it longer, make it shorter, but literally deliver your message. Don't suddenly get nervous about what you want to say because of what others have said. It's easier said than done, I assure you. Crystal.
Something else very quickly.
Don't feel free to
jump in. The one thing that I've noticed is when I've followed people, or people have followed me, either way, whichever way in the sequence it works, you notice a bit of plagiarism. So what happens is not plagiarism of what they're saying or the message, but the way they deliver it. Okay. Right? So they actually mid coming on stage, they watch the person before really get a great reaction. They change their body language, they change their stance, they change how they deliver it. And I think that is magic, watching that happen when I've seen them in the pre-run, when we've just done the mic up and made sure that everybody can hear everybody, we all know what we're doing, and they spoke in a completely different way. And then when they followed somebody that had really warmed up the audience and the audience were really engaged, they came on completely different person. And it's magical to see that. It's like someone just on fairy dust and they've become, and what I say is they've stepped into their power. They were always meant to be that, but they didn't believe it until they saw it happen for them. So why can't it happen for me? And they stepped into their power and they delivered. And I think that is a very important thing as well. The order of things, how people, the nervous people will be like wanting to get it done, get it finished, get it, get their soliloquy out as quickly as they can. They'll be like me and my Helena in Midsummer Night's Dream, desperate to get those words out because it's nerves, right? The more confident people will take a bit of time over it. But gradually, you'll see they'll all warm up, right? But if you get a real, come on, guys, get into it and all this to start with, then you're going to have a real, reaction from the Brits, right? The Brits will be sucking it up. They'll be scary people. Scary Americans shouting at me. That's what we do.
Hey, I am not a scary American. I am a quite cute one.
You're not. You're a cute American. But
You
what
are.
I'm saying is, there are some scary Americans who shout.
You'd like a feral badger, Kristen.
Yeah. Auntie, you remember our dear friend Anka, right? Well, she's actually on my channel right now watching, but she has a question for you. In April, on TikTok, she would like to be able to read your Jack books live on her TikTok. She with this one group of people, they like to read kid books and stuff live. And so in April on her birthday, she wanted to know if she has permission to do your books live.
100%, of course.
I
Absolutely.
Say that. But
you knew that before you asked.
Oh yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked publicly.
But you always got to ask, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I wanted to, ask.
Yeah, respectfully, yes, please.
Yes. But I need support for your books, and we love your
Absolutely.
books.
Thank you.
And when she does do the TikTok lives, I will send you. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but I will send you the link so that you can watch it later. Or if you're awake.
Thank you.
Because she tends to do them kind of between 8 and 9, EST. So that's kind of late for you. So you'd be able to be team replay. But yeah, it's really cute what they do. But since you were right here, now I love you all, but I am going to go eat my supper, and I know Miss Paulette needs to get some sleep.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're all about to go, so I don't like to keep you too long. I'll keep you longer than I thought I would. Sean, Sean's thinking. I can hear it from him.
You have a thinking face, Sean. We know this, and it's a very lovely face. It's not stern or anything, but you do have a thinking face. So yes, we are aware. Give us your pearls of wisdom.
Thank you,
So,
Chris.
there was two things. One, I appreciate the speaking from the professor from, I think he was from Harvard. But I have a challenge to something he said. When he said part of he said the two sides, right? And one of those, it's just genetic predisposition and there's not much you can do with it. Now, that is a common belief that your genetic predisposition is just, you are who you are. You are the way. This isn't to discount trauma response, high sensitivity, etc. Yes, some people are a little more sensitive in certain situations. Some people have higher baseline arousal. But it's incomplete.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We have to look at temperament and our genetics or our predispositions as a starting point, not an end point. Right? If you've heard anything from Dr. Bruce Lipton and Biology of Belief, he's done so much about how genetics, it's not cement. Right? Yes, there's switches that can get turned on and turned off, but your habits, your thinking, there's all of these factors that can turn those on and off. It's not like you're guaranteed that you can never public speak because you're highly sensitive or you're socially anxious. And the second thing, well, it's just brief, Paulette, was you wanted us to share tips, so don't forget that.
Yeah.
Just gonna go, but I was gonna say the reason I wanted to jump in when you did, Sean, was because what you said about the predisposition, right? I have an autistic son, and he didn't speak. He was pretty much nonverbal till about 2.5, and then he spoke in sentences, and it freaked the life out of us, right? He could tell the time at 4, literally. It became like the learning went from, it was always going on, we just didn't know it was going on. It was being filed, ready for when the time was right. And what I wanted to say is that, you know, people say autistic people don't like standing up in public, they don't like being public speakers, they don't like the eye contact thing. Well, he's not great at the eye contact. He tends to do we did the same thing that you just said, the triangle. He'll look at the forehead, but people think he's looking at them. But he's not great at dead eye. But that's fine. When it comes to schmoozing a girl, it might be different. But, you know, at this stage of the game, we're talking about business and his career. And the reason I brought it up is at 14 years old, he won the debating competition, right? Where you had to stand up, debate, argue the point. Everybody got given a country and you had to talk about their whatever it was, you know. And he got China, and everyone went, "Oh, Ben," and he was like, "I know." And then he read what he had to argue against, and you know, oh, how can I argue with that? You know, he had to argue for young children working. That was his argument why they were. And it was because they were still being schooled, but later on, they worked for so long and were schooled for so long. It wasn't that they were not schooled. They were doing a longer day, yes, but there was education. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So the point I was trying to make is that Ben knew that. He just happened to know that information because he'd read it somewhere. So when he came into that room with that particular, other people could have been completely lost. But he argued the point till everybody was like, okay, well, they're being educated and looked after and this and that. We can't really argue. These children can do things that with their fingers. They're able to make woodwork things that we would even dream of, because we're not craftspeople anymore. You know, they have skills that in the sewing and things that we just don't have. Now, is it right or is it wrong? Do we agree? Do we not agree? The point was, it was a debating competition, and I said to him, he had the gavel and he was so proud of it, with his name on it and everything. And all I said to him when he brought it home, "How did you feel?" He said, "I felt like I'd proved something." I said, "Who to?" He said, "To myself." I said, "What did you prove?" And he said that nothing is as scary as standing up and arguing something you don't believe. He said, because he's such a moral person and such a ethical person, that for him to argue for something he didn't actually genuinely believe in. And he said to me, "I couldn't be a solicitor or a lawyer, Mum, because there's no way that if I thought someone was guilty, I could defend them. I'd be like, I'm sorry.
Mm.
You know, I pass you on to someone else. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment that we'd done something right in telling him that there was no boundaries to what he could do. He sang and danced. He still sings now. There is nothing that child can't do if he wants to. Young man now, if he wants to. He's not scared of anything. And I find that amazing that we were told he probably won't go to a normal school. He probably won't speak. He probably won't this. He might not even walk properly. You know, he does this, he does the other. He won't ride a bike. He can't do all these things. I mean, he hired an e-bike and fell off it. And I just cracked up with laughter. I was like, "Says you're right. You know, if you want a bike, ride it, you know." The point I'm making is that this is about public speaking. He was 14 and he was able to fight his fear and fight his moral judgment. There was two fears. One was going against what he believed in, and two, to actually stand up and speak for it. And I think that was the reason why he was so proud of himself. So if at 14 years old, a child with autism can stand up and do it, I believe that we can teach anybody to do anything.
Yeah, for sure. Again, Sean, you're on mute. You know, so I will say I agree with you, Paulette, in that it's just so much easier when you're talking about something that you know that you're passionate about, that you believe in. You know, I think anything else means reading a script. So you have to know, because you know, when I said don't wing it, I said that if you know what you're talking about, if it's your thing, if it's your area of expertise, your vision, your goal, you know, your solution, your creation, all those things I think we can talk about till we go blue in the face, right? I can talk about all day basically. If it's something that if you're trying to wing it, you get found out, and you know, maybe rightly so, you should feel nervous. If you don't believe in it, then you know, do something. Be like Ben, do something else. Don't talk about it, right? Go on, Sean, please.
Yeah, I have a question, because you said he fought the fear. Can you ask him, did he fight the fear, or did he just like, yeah, I see you, fear, and let it go? Because that was one of my tips. Don't fight the fear. Or I've seen
he did exactly what you said.
Don't feed the bears. It says don't feed the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you try to get rid of fear, it locks in.
You actually engage with it. What you should do is actually engage with it.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'm afraid. I'm gonna go out.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what he did. And he also said that when he was having this moral dilemma, which I think is a lovely way to put it. I'm having a moral dilemma in the middle of a debating competition about what I'm asking to be debating on. The fact that he couldn't believe what he was saying, but he was still saying it to get the point delivered, I think is like the double whammy. It's not only letting the fear come in and say, hi, yeah, I know you're there. I see you, but right now I'm busy. I'm carrying on. And then actually being able to override the story that's going on in his background, which is, I really don't believe what I'm saying. I really don't, you know?
Well, and I would say in that moment, because he cleared the decks of his mind, and that actually might be a gift of his autism, is that he was able to clear the decks. Because I've had it happen where something comes out of my mouth, I'm like, where did that come from? I didn't read that in a book.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
It's when you're connected.
I resemble that remark a lot.
You know, you're connected to the deeper mind, the deeper consciousness that's outside of ourselves. And I would say fear is created in the moment, right? It looks real. It feels urgent and real, right? I hate that old saying, false evidence appearing real. No, it's real.
Yeah, it's real in the moment.
100% real. But here's the reality. The thought is the movie. The consciousness is making it, your consciousness is making it feel real. It's activating all of those systems in your body. But the reality is, especially today, we're reacting to our imagination,
Yeah.
not real danger. When we see that, it starts to soften. And when we realize that our thoughts, like this is scary or whatever, that they're weather, and the weather changes.
Yeah.
Everything that you're saying about fear and everything, thanks. Now I want to go watch Children of Dune. You know, the big line in that movie that always sticks with me is, fear is the mind killer. Let it pass through you. And I'm just thinking about that scene when they're in the Thumper flying in Children of Dune, and they're laughing because they're about to get eaten by a worm, and the twins are laughing at their stepmom saying that phrase. So thanks, Sean. Now I have to go watch that movie for the probably 10,000th time. But it's true.
At least you know what's coming. You know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So it's fine. You know, don't be too afraid. And that's
Overwhelm is also the feeling of overwhelm and fear. To me, feel the same. You know, I was terrified for my event on Valentine's Day and feeling very overwhelmed and a little bit of imposter syndrome. Can I really do this? Even though I trained my whole life for it. You know, that running that kitchen is in my blood. It's what my dad trained me to do and everything. And I sat down, washed my face, and I was like, no, just, you know, embrace it and do it. And we rocked it. You know, Matt racked the grill. I was able to get everything out. My team just worked like a glove, and we'd never worked together like that before. You know, it just went beautifully because I did not embrace that fear. I just said, no, I can do this and it will go well. And you know what? We sold out, and I'm being allowed to host events all summer. Whatever my twisted little mind can come up with. You know,
Crystal, your confidence, your confidence in that moment. You said the team had never worked so well together, right?
Well, we've never worked together, period. Like,
well, they picked up on everything that you gave out, right? It's about the energy again, the vibrational energy. You gave out that positivity. We're gonna wing this, or we're gonna make it happen, and it's gonna be a great event. And Matt's got the grill, and we're all sorted. There's nothing to fear here. And they picked up on that and ran with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important as well, in whether it's in business or public speaking or whatever. You give out those positive vibes, they come back to you. You know, you give out sort of like the fear that you talked about. They'd be thinking, oh my gosh, she doesn't think we're going to make this. She doesn't think we've got enough food. It's not going to go round. We're going to have people hungry. You know, there'd be all kinds of fears going on in their minds that would be planted that were not even relevant. So your positivity shone out, and that went through the group.
And all the prep I did all week. Oh my God. Paulette, you would have been proud of me. I was cooking all week long, getting ready.
I'm proud of you, darling. I'm always proud of you. Everything you do and everything you've done.
Right.
Always will be. I'm going to go.
Yeah,
to
you like to talk all day. You know, we need to go.
Love you guys. I'm going to go eat.
Thank you.
Sean, I will message you later about that tutorial, please. Love you guys. I will see you.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you so much. We're gonna have to do right with you. So I like Natalie's points. Like, keep your points icy sharp. You know, and to drive value and impact for sake of our listeners and our audience, call it right. And refrain from sales tactics. Yes, and share something useful. Don't just try to sell. I agree with that completely. You know, look, go on, Sean.
I was gonna say, you know, I had to do the fear topic when Paulette shared about Ben And
Mm.
that's amazing, an amazing story. The top thing I had on my list is for how to have more confidence when you're going. And Crystal, let's stop pathologizing imposter thought. It happens to everybody. I was at an AI conference, and the CEO of the largest bank in the region, I could see him on stage. He was like this. I'm like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And then there was a guy, I had seen him at a smaller workshop, and he was just on it. He knew his stuff. He was demonstrating these AI phone agents. It was amazing. Put him on the big stage, and I saw it. And I actually got to talk to him outside the hotel. And I said, how did you feel up there on stage? He was like, I was scared to death. I said, I noticed. I said, I saw you in your smaller presentation, and you were, typical software guy, founder, blah, blah, blah. You were cool. You told your product. He says, yeah, that bigger audience on the big stage, everything was different. But my tip is this. Instead of asking, how am I doing? Ask, who am I serving? It changes the perspective.
Yeah. Now, who am I serving? Who am I talking to? Why am I talking, as Paulette said earlier, and who exactly am I speaking to?
Who am I serving?
Yes.
Whether it's your belly or your mind and spirit. Hey, I plan on having a restaurant where I combine the two. So that
I like that.
so
Look, my friends, we must go. 2 hours in. We
love
must
you
go.
guys.
We got a show
Good
tomorrow.
night.
Thank you so much, everyone.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you. You're stars. Absolute
Sean.
stars. Sean doesn't do
Sean,
Thursday. Now I
Sean
know.
couldn't come to the
Yes.
event,
Yes.
but I sent my ticket so he gets a replay, right?
Yeah. No, but he has to go and
send you-
download. He has to go and get the ticket. He has to go and download the ticket so I can have
All
his
right,
email.
I'll send you that, and then you can download the replay.
Yes. Just get a ticket and put his name in. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, super.
I'll be at work, but I'll be able to listen.
Yeah.
Because of where I work, I can listen in. So that's the great thing.
So I'm going to show you our promo video. So if you haven't got your ticket
It's
yet,
awesome.
now's your chance, right? Here's the link on the screen. There's a QR code in the video. So you're going to do this QR code, get ready to scan very quickly. I'm excited now because tomorrow is nearly here, right? Yay. Now, Sean, thank you for your genius as always. This show is always better with your input. I mean that sincerely. So I'm so glad you came up today. Paulette is now my I don't know whether I'm your sidekick or you're my sidekick. I don't know which one. But where we go together, right?
You don't pay me enough, pal.
What do you mean? You're Batman, I'm Robin. It was quite well, right?
I can't wait to see the outfits.
Yes, well, anyway, thank you, audience.
Shall
Bro Charlie.
Leave them with that imaginary.
Yes,
thought.
leave them with that. Bro Charlie, Natalie, thank you so much, everyone. You made my day, as always. So back here in 2 weeks' time, and then we'll talk again. Which video do I show today, Paul? Mine or yours? Well, let me show mine. So I will show yours, right?
While you're pulling that up, any final
Yes.
remark? Have an awesome event tomorrow.
Thank you.
We will.
You
Thank
guys
you so
knock
much.
it out of the park.
We
Because like
will.
Paulette said, it's about the energy you bring.
Yeah.
If you come in there like a scared pussycat, everybody's going to feel that and respond appropriately. If you
Yeah.
come in there and say, you know what? I'm flying this plane. We're either soaring to 35,000 feet or we're going to crash and burn, but we're going to do it together.
We're sorry. That's what we're all doing tomorrow. I'll show you, right? Kind of everyone has to come with that thought. Thank you so much, Sean. So your 2 books are out, so the next one I will come to you and we can work around you in terms of how we'll do our next author speakers for sure. I think you can bring your wife too, by the way. I know she's one of the books is hers, isn't it? You got 2 books. One's hers, one's yours, or are they both yours?
I have 1 book. She has 2
Right.
books.
Oh wow!
And
Okay.
one of the books is in 2 languages, and I'm working on. I got a kick in the pants. I attended a group that's called Dream Lifting, and the host of that event is very into energetics, And she said she's like, I'm really feeling that this book isn't just a benefit to the entrepreneur community, it's a benefit to humanity.
Ooh, that's deep.
Lovely.
Why we write is our topic.
And she's holding me accountable. She messages me like, okay, how's your writing going? How many chapters have you completed?
Excellent. No, this is the life we live, right? Look, and I can't wait for your books, my friend.
I think this is the first time I've shared the screen with you, Sean. So it's been a real
Really?
pleasure. Yeah, I think so.
No,
I don't think we've done very much together at all.
I
So
feel
it's
like
lovely to be here.
it's been brief snippets, but yeah, this was the shining moment.
Excellent. Look, you two enjoy. Thank you so much. Enjoy your night. I got work with to go and create it. I'm going to show the video, then we're going to, by the time the video finishes, I'll just stop the show, right? So, bye everyone. Thank you so much, my friends. Bye everyone. Stop whatever you're doing. Time to go and buy your ticket for Author Speakers Conference on the 26th of February. So we have 6 amazing authors, all award-winning authors, who are going to be on stage to share their stories. They want to inspire you. They want to, of course, you can learn from them, and they also want to entertain you. Yeah. Don't hesitate. You know you want to be there. So find the link to buy the tickets, which only cost £10, somewhere around this video, and buy your ticket today. You don't want to miss out. Come and get strategies and insights to transform your life. That's what Author Speakers Conference is all about.